Hello, wrestling fans. This is Nunzio, the true full-blooded Italian, and you're listening to In Your Head Online.
All right, we're back, and we're joined by Nova. He's also known as Simon Dean. I want to welcome you to In Your Head.
Hello. What's up, guys? What's going on? Mike, Bucci, Simon, Dean, Nova, all three of us are here rolled up into one. This is a true career highlight, or a semi-retirement career highlight. I'm here with 1-inch biceps, the British guy, all you guys. So thanks for having me on the show tonight.
I'm just no Hollywood Bob Starr, I noticed, though.
Well, I guess Hollywood Bob Starr. Hollywood Bob Starr was apparently. I met him one time. He wrestled in Maryland when me and Stevie and Meanie were doing the BWO shit, and he came over to me and nice guy, pulls me aside and says, "Hey man, good luck with the gimmick, brother." And like I looked at him, I was like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?" He was dead serious. Like I guess he was kind of thought that he should have been whatever. You know, I have no idea if the guy is he still wrestling, that guy? Probably. Next question.
Somewhere.
I'm sure he is.
Right. So, about that, like that whole little thing, how did the BWO, how did it start up?
me and Stevie, we were all doing the impersonations in ECW, screwing around. Actually, you know, it's a novel concept, but we were actually doing entertaining stuff in wrestling and having actual fun with it. We did, Kiss at the arena one night. We dressed up like Kiss, did that, came in the back, and I remember Bubba Dudley walked by, and Bubba looked at us and said, "Man, you guys are never going to do anything bigger than Kiss." And Scotty was friends with Hall and Nash and those guys, and Bubba said to us, he goes, "You guys should do a parody of the NWO." And then Meanie turned around, and he's like, "Oh, we should be the BWO, the Blue World Order, instead of the New World Order." So then we just divvied out parts, and we did it like the next month in November to remember that year, 96 I think it was, and painted our faces, did the bullshit. I thought it would last literally like a week, and then, you know, it snowballed into a month, and then we found out the T-shirts. I think behind Sandman's T-shirt, we had the best-selling T-shirt ever in ECW. I mean, seriously, you could, I remember 1996, 97, you could turn on, Nitro, Raw. I saw some tapes of USWA, and I saw fans sitting in the crowd with BWO shirts on. Everywhere I looked, I mean, obviously not across the world like Stone Cold shirts, but you saw a shitload of BWO shirts out there. It was ridiculous. And we did it for about a year.
I mentioned that actually on our message board, I think today, actually, people were talking about TNA and stuff, and I was just saying about how ECW, I mean, you would see ECW shirts and hear ECW chants at, all the WWE
everywhere.
Shows and WCW shows. You don't see that with TNA.
And it's weird. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, what was that like, just, seeing, your guys' shirts, at all these big...
Spoke for itself. I got to the point, I didn't really kind of get over pretty decently in ECW towards the end, the last 6 months or so. I actually kind of developed my following over the times I was there. Me and Meanie, then me and Chetty, then finally on my own. And towards the end, I would have put myself up there with just about anybody in ECW, as far as, ability to get a reaction. But as far as, I didn't have a singles T-shirt, but BWO, I just did an autograph signing, I don't do a lot of them. I did one with Stevie and Meanie, 2 weeks ago in Jersey for some great guys, at Wrestling Marks and, Wrestling Mark stock figures, guys. And, it was, dude, the turnout, we had literally, the guys from the internet the next day put it up there, they told me about it, that I think Ric Flair was there, he had the super ticket thing, and there was there was a ton of people there. And I think the BWO line was literally behind Flair's is the longest line of the day. It was crazy how many people showed up there with and they would always chant, ECW. I mean, I love WWE. It was a great time. I was there. I've been just about every promotion you can be in, but ECW is the only promotion's initial that you ever hear chanted at a show. You still hear the shit today. I remember seeing a tape of some goofy indie show 6 months ago. Somebody sent it to me and said, "Hey, will you watch my match?" And they did some stupid hardcore spot early on in the show, and the crowd starts chanting ECW. I'm like, what are they, nuts? There's not even ECW guy in the match.
Right.
But they chanted ECW. The promotion was bigger than any one person in it. I mean, people left, came and went, made their names there, but they chant ECW because it was the ideology behind it and what it was all about. And it'll never happen again. It can never happen again. It never will happen. There's been a bunch of imitators and a bunch of people trying to capture it. A bunch of people who run shows on the holy ground. Yeah. I call it, the old ECW arena, and they all think that, in, Field of Dreams, Like, if you build it, they will come. Seriously, like, these guys think if I book it, they will come. Dude, they're not coming to, it's not Mecca. They're not coming to a magical building. Mm-hmm. It was the building with the product and the fans that came there. They all made it together, so.
Mm-hmm. What was it like being in the ECW arena when ECW was around? Was it like
awesome? It was fantastic. I've stood in the ring at WrestleMania. I've been in the ring at Kawasaki Stadium, Mexico City. I've been around the world, dude, twice, pretty much. I've been every state in this country, all over the world. I will tell you point blank that the ECW, I've been to the Garden. I've wrestled in the Garden. I mean, Madison Square Garden is it's the biggest thing you can get. And the ECW arena and the Queen Elks Lodge are my two favorite places ever to wrestle in. The arena, there's something about it, man, especially like on a hot day in the summer, no air conditioning in there. You put 1,800 people in there, 2,000 if the Fire Hazard Commission wasn't looking. We can cram them all in there. And just buck wild, dude. And if you could get over there, like you'd have guys come in there, you know, from other promotions, other places, unknown, and they build themselves little by little. I mean, I don't know if did you guys ever go to the arena back in the day, 10 years ago?
I've never been to the arena, and we were actually going to drive there. I live in Cape Cod.
Well, now it's all like, you know, redone and refinished and all that shit. It's, you know, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But back then, it was a bombed out hellhole. But there'd be people that we ran it every 3 weeks. There'd be people lined up in the parking lots, waiting to get in there for the show. You know, outside having parties and tailgating, and you know, you could get in there and build your repertoire in the ring and get over a little bit each time. And the fans, they had that connection to you because they kind of felt like they made you. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is you kept, like, I'll use myself as an example. I start off as a goof running around at ringside with Raven. And, you know, and then I built up myself over time with being better in the ring, getting better shape, coming up with cool stuff, and getting over with the fans, and they made me. I'll never forget that. The wrestling fans made me, man. It's not, you know, there's no magic involved. You get over, if people want to see it, they're going to like it, and you get over. And that's what ECW fans did, and they helped make guys. It was huge.
Mm-hmm. Now, we got a bunch of callers here, actually, tonight. We got PH is on the line.
Let's hear him.
What's going on?
PH, what's up, man?
Hey,
is this Paul Heyman? PH, is this Paul Heyman?
You take
No.
Okay, sorry about that, PH.
No problem. I'm from Tampa, so I wanted to know what it was like working. I don't even remember what the hell their names were in WWE, but what it was like working with Michael and Todd Shane.
Awesome. Tampa's great. They got the new place down there. I love the Gemini. Let me tell you why I love the Shane twins. First of all, great guys. If I was down on my luck and just committed a murder and on the run, needed $50 and the place to hide out, I could call those guys and they'd put me up. That's some heavy shit, man, when you think about it. In wrestling, you got tons of acquaintances but few friends. I can't say enough about those two. I was made like their manager / mouthpiece because Vince specifically told me, I want you to work with these guys and get them better. I used to be on the floor and shout all the instructions to those guys, do this, do that, to get them more comfortable into a tag team setting in WWE. And I think it was Todd tore his pec and got hurt and was out, and then they came back and they didn't put him back on TV, and then they got fired. But those guys got a raw deal because they were a hell of a tag team. They looked great. They were big, ass-kicking, mean dudes, and they weren't bad in the ring. And I absolutely feel they could have been one of the best tag teams in the business, 100%. I thought of their name. I came up with the name for them, too, Gemini.
Did you take that as a compliment when Vince would say he wanted you to help, make these guys better?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be wouldn't be a compliment. He said, hey, go with them because I want them to suck.
Right.
But that was my gimmick on the show. I mean, I went out there, I talked shit every week. I went out there. I was always the guy that had to get somebody over when they needed a win before pay-per-view, or needed to get a win back after pay-per-view, or had to get somebody strong, or I had everybody's freaking debut on the show. From Bobby Lashley to Boogeyman to Tatanka to Vito in the dress. I mean, you name it. And then those guys, he specifically said, I want you to work with them, and I want you're going to be good for these guys. You can get them better. And then Todd tore his pec, and he was out. It was never the same when they came back. And I think some people just kind of crapped on him behind the scenes because they weren't their guys or whatever. And those guys got a bad deal, man. I still talk to them quite often. I always will. They had my back. I had theirs. I love those guys.
Anything else, PH?
Yeah, I just have one more question. I can respect if you can't answer it because of, like, legal issues you might have or whatever. But do do you think you got a raw deal with the WWE? Because do you think you were made like scapegoat because your name came up on some report? Because I can tell you, I saw some reports. I'm not going to name the person's name, but their initials were OG, who came up like various times, and he's still wrestling on Raw. But yet, your name came up and you're fired immediately.
AG?
OG. You said OG. The original Yanks?
OG, I don't know. I don't even look at it that way. Let me tell you something, man. Taking the job in talent relations was a curse and a blessing. Number one, a lot of people forget this. At 34 years old, in July of 2006, I opted to walk away from the ring full time. I was handpicked to run talent relations. I didn't go to them and say I want the job. John Laurinaitis talked with Vince about it. They knew I had a passion for the business. They knew I came up for the indies. Tommy was going back to ECW. He never wanted to be in the first place. And I basically was getting a system that was pretty much busted and had to fix it from the scratch. And I was very proud of the work I accomplished in talent relations. I was working about 80 to 95 hours a week on that job. If it sounds ridiculous, it's the truth. My wife can tell you. It started at 7 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, and it never stopped. I was a babysitter, a therapist. It was ridiculous. And most of the time I had to deal with people in developmental or behind the scenes, some shit that I didn't respect. I didn't like them as people, and I thought they were lazy. I had to move to Stamford, Connecticut, which we hated. I just wanted to come back to Kentucky to my house. So when that happened, I mean, it's not like I was going to do talent relations for a couple of years and then go back being Simon Dean again. I never planned on going back in the ring. I wrestled for 15 years before that, and I accomplished everything that I ever wanted to do. I was in the ring with everybody from Steve Austin and Batista to Lord Zoltan and Bubba the Bullfrog, and everybody in between. So I accomplished about all I thought that Simon Dean was ever going to accomplish, so I wanted to move on. I was writing loans part-time on the side. I was really getting into that, and I wanted to get into that full-time. I wanted to do 2 or 3 years of executive experience just so it would make me more attractive on an application when I went to go to a bigger company, in the real estate market. So the Signature Pharmacy, I took testosterone, big deal. 5 million people a year do it. I mean, it's not a big deal. Like you said, there's tons of people's name on it. I've seen people since then. I mean, at one time they had, all kinds of problems with other executives in the company who had to get suspended. They had that one broad on the show her name showed up on a call girl list or some bullshit. I mean, it's one thing after another. And then, now somebody has told me, like last week, Lance Cade got fired for something that he did with drugs or something, supposedly, or, whatever. I don't know, Lance.
What Jim Ross has said was that he made the mistake of having a seizure on a plane. And I was like, well, how's that the guy's mistake? But, I guess he hinted he was doing something else.
I don't know. I mean, I like Lance personally. He's okay. He's a nice guy. I mean, he was there a long, long time. Lance isn't an idiot. I'm sure he saved his money. I don't know if it's in his future plan to go back to WWE or go to T. Everybody wants to go as soon as they leave. I'm going to TNA, or whatever, which is cool. I like TNA personally, but I really don't know what most of these people what they think, man. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. As far as the Signature Pharmacy thing, whatever. It could care less. It was their loss more than mine. I know what I did for the system. I hired Santino Marella. I hired Kofi Kingston. I hired Matt Sydal. I hired Ox. What's his name? Brad. Oh, Christ. What the hell's the guy's name? Bam Neely. Atlas Ortiz, all those guys. I mean, I hired every guy that has come up in the system to TV. I helped Paul Burchill out a lot. Every guy that's come up over the Crime Time, I helped them with their stuff. That's come up over the last year. I was pretty much instrumental in the hiring. Alpha, Natty Neidhart, all those guys. I hired all those guys. DiBiase Jr. Since I've left, there's not one person that's been called up to the main roster that was hired after I left. Mm-hmm. Now, will that change? I don't know.
I was going to say, Santino's the most entertaining guy on TV right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a fucking F in the ring when it comes to wrestling ability at times. But he's a legitimate judo background and a badass shooter. I mean, I don't know how much anybody's going to pay to see Santino kick ass at this point. Yeah. They give him a mic, and it's kind of like how Simon Dean was. Nobody wanted to see me do all my Nova moves and wrestling shit. They want to see me talk crap and be funny. Mm-hmm. But, I could care less about the Signature thing. I might take some shots next year, in wrestling, do a couple shows for Mike O'Brien, some overseas stuff, but I'll absolutely never go back to wrestling again full time. I can't do it. I have commitments to my wife, want to start a family. I'm writing loans full time. The real estate market's picking up. I really love it. and it doesn't hold my interest anymore. I've had some offers to do it full time again, but it's not for me.
Mm-hmm. What was it a hard choice to go to just leave wrestling full time?
It actually really took me about, if I really think about how long it took me to think, I think it took me about 6 minutes to really figure out this. I mean, no, I loved, and if you guys can understand my pattern on this, I loved physically wrestling in the ring. I loved being in the ring. I loved wrestling fans. You never heard a report about me not signing an autograph or being an asshole to anybody. None of that shit. I used to carry a Sharpie marker wherever I went, sign autographs. I love fans. That's why I did it for as long as I did. I love the sport. I truly grew to hate the business side of the wrestling. There's some good people in it. There's some bad people in it. There's some people that you just are indifferent towards. But for whatever reason, man, there's just a lot of unsavory characters that pop up a lot of times. And I really got tired of working with some of the lazier people that somehow popped up in developmental, and all they did was bitch and cry. And it really banged my head against the wall so many days. Said, I don't want to do this. I was miserable. Mm-hmm. You know? I mean, I work long hours writing loans, dealing with borrowers and trying to get loans closed, keep people in their houses. It's my passion now, and it's a lot of work. I mean, I just walked in the door 15 minutes ago to talk to you guys. I've been gone all day, and I wouldn't trade to go back to wrestling for $250,000 a year. No way.
Let everybody know your website's loanhelpnow247.com. We'll have the link right up on the website if you want to explain it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's for people who just click it on, man. I got tons of mortgage information on there, buyers, purchases, refinances, loan modifications for people that are in foreclosure. I mean, this is a time like no other. So I've been interested in this for a couple of years, and I've actually been able to help through doing the talk shows like I'm doing now, probably about 20 people stay in their house, refinance, and do, and kind of help them out, which is kind of cool. I always said if I could help at least one fan, it's a way of paying back, so.
Mm-hmm. How about any wrestlers? Any wrestlers come to you for help?
I don't want to say their names. I'm actually doing a loan modification on one guy's loan, and another guy I'm doing a refinance on his house. Two guys in WWE. They had pretty lousy loans the first time they got them written, so I was able to go in and save these guys literally $200 a piece a month, and get them set for life, or as long as they're going to stay in the houses. So it's kind of cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't do any of this like in full BWO attire?
Not usually. I mean, if somebody wants me to go to the house, I might make an appointment on the scooter. Since everybody seems to think that I still have that. I mean, everybody that I know that knows me as Simon Dean, first they ask me two things. Where's your scooter, and how can I get the Simon system? Swear to God, they all think it was real. I could have made $1 million if they had actually made a Simon system like I really wanted them to. Right. But someone, I'm not healing anybody, but someone very prominent in the World Wrestling Entertainment hierarchy, quite frankly, looked at me and said, but nobody will buy your stuff because they hate you. And I said, well, if they hate me so much, then how come I don't get to do more here? Well, that's just what we need you to do here. I said, no problem. Where's the catering? I'm see you guys at 5.
There's a lot of people.
Huh?
I was just saying, a lot of people in our chat room have been asking about the Simon system themselves.
I thought, dude, I had a whole workout program worked out, a regime. I looked at Vince and said, look, I know you got a bunch of Ico Pro and all the other shit laying around that you had from years ago. Let's just repackage it and resell it again. I said, I'll come up with a bunch of exercises and put some other people on the DVD. And he was actually pretty game for it. Yeah. And I just didn't see how it could be a lose proposition. I'm like, you could put the friggin' thing out for $19, $29, with workout routines, the whole bit. I guarantee you we would have sold a ridiculous amount of units. Mm-hmm. And part of because it wasn't somebody else's idea, I guess, and whatever. At that point, man, I was so beaten. That was like when I found out when I took the job in talent relations and I went out to California to supervise the motion capture for the video games. I did like 6 games. I did both Legends of Wrestling games, the ECW games, 2 WWE games where I had to put the suits on and do the moves and shit. And talent relations, I had to supervise it. So I go out there, I'm talking to the game programmers, and they said, yeah, we were really sorry that you weren't put in the game last year, because they make a big list every year who's in the game and who isn't.
Right.
And you get paid a ridiculous amount of money for the game. I'm talking 5 figures you get paid for being in one of those games. Mm-hmm. A high 5 figures. And they were like, yeah, we wrote a bunch of stuff in the game for you, and then the backstage skits or me making fun of people for having to get in shape and all that. And I'm like, really? And they go, yeah, then the final list came out and you weren't in the game. And, we made you the ability to make you in the creative wrestling mode, but we're so sorry you weren't in the game. And then I found out that a bunch of the backstage skits had Johnny Nitro in them like making fun of people. They had to put Nitro in my spots. So when I heard that, man, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, this is the game programmers. That just like coupled, all that stuff rolled together, man. It just makes me say I never ever will rely on wrestling for my full-time living again, ever.
Mm-hmm. How do you think the Simon system would have held up against the Blowaway diet?
Well, probably pretty good, especially when I met Playboy Buddy Rose in Oregon in like 2005, and he brought all of his guys there for the day, and they're all trying out a bunch of them and shit because they're in the area, and he walks up to me like, hey, Playboy, how you doing, man? Nova, because I met him before there was Nova. He's like, hey, Simon, how you doing? I said, hey, brother, what's up, man? And he's talking to me, and he goes, you know what? I should go pitch an idea to Creative to come in as your manager. And I'm like, hey, whatever, dude. And sure. Couldn't be any worse than Big Dick Johnson. So, although I like him, though. I like the Joseph. He's cool. So,
yeah, I'm actually a
let's
big
get some more callers, man. Get some more callers up on there.
Yeah, we got a bunch. We got Brian Jones.
Oh, hey, is this Nova?
Yo, Brian Jones, what's up?
Hey, what's up? I was a huge fan of Simon Dean, and in fact, I think he really should have been a face because, people compared you to the Body Donnas, but I viewed you as more inspirational than anything else. You weren't just making fun of people like you were trying to actually help them. My main, but I love the character. I mean, that's a compliment I wanted to give you. I found you hilarious. My main thing that I was wondering about is you said you worked in real estate. Are you having, trouble now because of that whole buyout thing? I mean, is it like...
Well, I mean, the buyout package is going to pump more liquidity into the market. It's all about credit right now. Banks don't have a lot of balls right now to lend money. It's just, this happens about every 10 years. You can go back to history and look. I mean, last time it happened this bad was right after 9/11-ish with unemployment and credit problems, and the market takes a little bit of a dip. There was a lot of deregulation, so to speak, in these markets where a lot of bad loans are written. It's slow, but it'll definitely rebound just like it always has. People need real estate. They need homes, and they need people to give them money for those homes. It's just the way life is. So, as far as, the character, I remember one time me and Maven did something with Stone Cold on TV. We were trying to sell him our shit, and he beat us up in Los Angeles after WrestleMania. And, yeah, like the next week, Shawn Michaels sat down. He's talking to me. He's like, hey, we just had a big meeting today, and he was telling me that there had been like a poll on .com or something, and the writers told everybody in the meeting that there was like, would you rather A, drink a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin, or B, drink a protein shake with Simon Dean? And it was like, all the ridiculous amounts of votes came in. Like 89% of the people wanted to drink a milkshake or a fucking protein shake with me instead of drink a beer with him. And Shawn Michaels was the first one that said to me, he goes, I could see you being a huge baby face in this company. He said, because eventually our fans are going to have to look at one another and say, you know what, he's kind of right. Ha ha ha. He made fun of you, blah, blah, but if they programmed you against the right heel and you could really turn it up and go and kind of have the restraints pulled off you a little bit, I think you could do really well here. But, instead I think they went with plan B, where I basically would go out there every week and get worms thrown on me and get beat up by midgets and aliens or whatever else it was. So that was cool.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for calling in, Brian. I always had a great idea for the Boogeyman, because I always thought they should have sold gummy worms in the audience.
So I asked that. When I was supposed to do Who Want to Pay For You, they wanted to me to get worm. No, I said, can I use gummy worms? Because gummy worms would be a lot more like allergic to Simon Dean. Like, oh my God, there's full sugar worm. No, that's stupid. No, that doesn't really work for his character. And then I said, what about my character? Well, this is about Boogie. I said, no problem.
Yeah.
Where's catering? I'll see you guys at 5 o'clock.
So. We got Kicks on the line.
Kicks, all right.
Hey, Nova, how you doing?
Kicks, what's up, man?
I'm doing great, thank you. Wanted to ask just a couple questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
First question was, do you still talk to Chris Chetty, by any chance?
I actually have in my hand right now, as we speak, a credit report for Chris Chetty, because I'm trying to work with him because he wants to buy his first house in December. Chris Chetty will be my friend for life. I teamed up with him by accident in 1997 or whatever it was. We remained friends through that. He remained my friend when I was in OVW. I always talked to him through my whole WWE career. He got a bad deal. Chris just had a back surgery a couple months ago. He rehabbed from that. He, in theory, wants to come back and do at least one match someday. If somebody did like a reunion show at the ECW arena or something like that and he wanted to do it, I would do it with him. He's got 5 kids, his wife. He has a great job as a new construction inspector in New York, making great money, and he's somebody I'll talk to for the rest of my life. So he's awesome. I love Chetty.
Just my last question was, were you ever contacted, I guess, by the WWE in any sense to, bring back the Nova gimmick for, WWE's ECW brand by any chance?
Well, when they were doing the ECW thing, I was already full-blown Simon Dean, and we had the one time where we did that ECW one-night stand where I went out there as Hollywood Nova and got hit. And for a while, we were doing BWO. I think, I could be wrong, we were doing BWO and I was doing Simon Dean. I think I'm the only guy that ever played two separate characters in the company that weren't supposed to be the same guy. Like, Mick Foley played three different people, but they were all the same guy. You knew it was Mick Foley. I would go out there, and Vince told the guys in the meetings before the show, look, when he's out there dressed as the BWO guy, he's one thing, and when he's Simon Dean, because Taz was like, can I make reference to, hey, this guy looks kind of familiar? Vince is like, no, they're two separate people on the show. So, as far as being I don't think in WWE, unless I was running around in my Venom outfit or Green Lantern outfit, my superhero costumes, it wouldn't have been the same effect. I would have just been a Nova, just a guy in the ring, and not really a character. I wouldn't have been willing to give up to being Simon Dean to go back to being Nova in WWE. Because, make no mistake about it, the new ECW brand, for whatever anybody wants to say, it's just another brand. I mean, there's Raw, SmackDown, ECW. There's absolutely nothing about the new ECW that sets it apart from the other two, except that there's some newer talent on there. They have some little bit longer matches on there sometimes. It's on Sci-Fi. But, without that ECW type environment to breed a character like I was, it ain't gonna work. You know what I mean?
Right. You think they'd be better off just changing the name? Then people
to what? Like,
I don't know, just anything. But then people.
Yeah, but if you put ECW's initials on a T-shirt or a bobblehead or whatever the hell they're going to put it on, it's going to sell more than I don't know, Raw, SmackDown, Diva Olympics. What are they going to call it? I mean, ECW has name recognition for what it's worth. I mean, every year that it goes by, it's another year removed from the original vision of what it was 10 plus years ago. I mean, ECW went out of business in 2001. That's 8 years ago. I mean, you got people watching now that see ECW on Tuesday nights that have only heard of the lore of what ECW was back then. So as every year goes by, it becomes more and more the new ECW and becomes less and less of what it was. So, what are you going to do,
What did you think of the one-night stand pay-per-views? I was a big fan.
I thought the first one was really cool. The second one was the second one I think was when Van Dam fought John Cena, right?
Right.
That was cool as shit. That was a great environment.
Yeah.
But it's cool to do that, but you have to do it in Manhattan Center or ECW Arena with those fans, with those people. You can't do it like I think the last one, the last one or two they had, it wasn't in those arenas and it was like in a different part of the country and they slapped the ECW one night stand logo on it. But I mean, come on. It's not ECW. And then the first year they had, I think it was the first year, or the second year maybe, when they had, the Raw and SmackDown guys coming in and invading and all that shit and all that. And it just, I don't know, kind of took away from it a little bit, to be honest with you, I thought.
Do you have any thoughts on JBL, like Punch Meanie in the ring?
Well, I never really hung out with JBL a whole lot. He's okay. I mean, I respect what he accomplished in the business. I mean, let's put the cards on the table, guys. This is a guy who was hanging backstage as an acolyte with Ron Simmons, a successful babyface, and then he transformed himself, got a haircut, and the guy is a self-made millionaire, by the way, in case nobody knows. I mean, he says that it's not a work. That's a shoot. This guy took his money he was making in wrestling, taught the market to himself, and became a financial genius. That shit doesn't happen by accident. Trust me. I mean, this guy's really smart. I wish more people would take a lead from him from that and setting themselves up for life beyond wrestling. I don't know how much longer he's going to wrestle, but he can go full-time and, make money on their endeavors. I definitely respect what he's accomplished. I thought he was a great heel, too. I just remember being in the ring that night. I guess Meanie had done some promos on him on some websites and that kind of stuff and whatever back and forth, and John was drinking or I don't know, but I just remember Meanie shooting off his mouth and yelling at him, and next thing I know, they're punching each other. I didn't really catch a good glance of it. You try to see it on replay, but you can't. But I don't know, man. He must have got whatever. I like Meanie. He's cool. They both got over it. I sat in California a couple weeks later when they flew Meanie in and made him part of WWE, and John was totally professional with him and worked a hell of a little match for him and put him over the middle of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got a 704 area code. I don't know the name here.
All right.
Do you have a name?
Yeah, this is David.
All right.
Hey, Simon, you going to be wrestling anymore, or do you still wrestle?
You know what, Dave? It's so hard, man. I work a lot. I'm with my wife on the weekends. I think I'm gonna do a couple things next year. If I can find a couple, I got contacted by tons of people who do shit. Most of them I've turned down. I took a couple autograph signings. I did the Facebook thing. Just type in Mike Bucci, B-U-C-C-I. You'll find me on there. I don't turn anybody down. You guys are cool enough to contact me. I'll contact you back. Some people, I might do some shows. I'm definitely going to do some shows next year. I mean, I'm only 36 years old. I feel great. I'm in great shape. I see most of what's out there, what people have to sit through and watch on most independent shows. So at least I feel I can go make a hit of a circuit and kind of go around to some shows I want to do and get a chance on my terms to meet some fans, sign some autographs, and then do that. That'll be pretty cool.
Well, I got one more question for you, too.
Sure.
Are you anything like the character you was with WWE?
Hang on one second.
Okay.
Well, as far as when I was Simon Dean?
Yeah.
Well, here are the most successful characters, and I will say that I think Simon Dean was a very successful character. I wasn't a top guy. I wasn't a main eventer. But you go back and watch it. Every single week I went out there, I got the crowd entertained. I had them chanting, Simon sucks. I had them yelling. You have to be an extension of yourself. In real life, I'm very amped up. I'm a type A personality. I talk really fast. I'm always energetic. I'm motivated. I love to work out. But I don't make fun of fat people. I mean, I used to be like 280 years ago. So I understand how the whole thing with Simon Dean, originally I wanted to be a bad guy and all that, but then eventually I did really want to become a babyface and do motivational speaking and workout tapes. And I actually petitioned to try to get on the President's Physical Fitness, the Council on Physical Fitness. I mean, all that. And it was much easier to get worms thrown on me. So that's what they want. I didn't care, but as far as my attitude and how I am, it's just one of those things. That's how I was, So, but no, it was cool, man. I definitely appreciate you watching.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yep, you got it.
Thanks for calling in, Dave.
Do what now? I'm calling from Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. I just said, just thank you for calling in.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice, man.
All right, bye.
Bye. We got Joel here from Portugal.
Joel from Portugal? Cool.
Indeed. Good evening, Simon. Can I call you Simon? I'm sorry.
Sure. What's up, Joel?
I'm doing fine. I expect you're doing as well. I have two quick questions because I know other people also want to ask questions. My first question is, I always had this doubt about when I watched old stuff from the ECW. How did you guys got away with the trademark or with the BWO logo, which was trademarked by WCW? How did you get away with that?
Because it was considered. What do they call it? It was a direct copyright, a copyright infringement. Yeah, it was a parody. Since it was a parody, it said BWO, it was blue. It kind of looked like NWO. It wasn't exactly like NWO. So it was considered a parody. So ECW had the trademark on the parody of it. You know what I mean? You can't copyright an idea. You can copyright something that's tangible and physical, but that's like me copyrighting, soda. I mean, there's Coca-Cola, there's Pepsi, there's a bunch. It's just, they were the NWO. We were three idiots that ran around blue shit on our face and called us the BWO.
I see.
I think the business is better for it. I mean, we actually heard from those guys and they loved it. So
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, they did. They loved it. I've talked to Nash about all of it. They loved it. Why wouldn't they? It was getting them over too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
what's your other question, Joel?
Oh, okay. My second question, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yes, I do.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Goodbye. No. My second question is, the theme song of the BWO, how'd that come about? Do you really know?
It was a group called the Swamp Candles, and they were friends with Meanie. That was 100% Meanie. He knew these guys from a music place down near him in Philadelphia, and he did come up to us one day. He's like, guys, I got the perfect song for us. I swear to God, he put it in 2 seconds. It went like, bow, bow, now, 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 and we were like, holy shit. And I remember Paul E. heard it like, that is fantastic. It sounded like 70s porno music and real life. It was just cool shit. And we came out to it. They were Meanie's buddies, the Swamp Candles, yep. He 100% Blue Meanie found that one.
Was a perfect NWO theme song parody as well.
It really did. It actually, and they recorded that way before we did BWO. Meanie just knew about the song, and as soon as we did it, he said, I got the perfect song for us. And, you know, I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be some whack-ass Blue Meanie group or something, you know, because he likes some weird stuff. So, you know, he did, you know, Meanie came through the clinch, boy.
Yeah, there's actually a band called Blue Meanie. I saw them on MySpace. I don't think they have anything to do with the Blue Meanie.
I don't know. He came out with that one, so.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks for calling, Joel.
Well, goodbye. Thank you, Mike, for answering my question.
You got it, man. No problem.
Jason.
Hey, what's happening?
You sound a little
Jason,
excited,
what's
man.
up, Jason?
Before I ask my questions, I gotta say something I've been needing to say since I was 10 years old. What the hell was up with the Meanie Babe?
The Meanie Babe was Miss Patricia. She was one of the many people that was, you gotta remember something. In ECW, if you showed up there a couple times, a bunch of times, whatever, just for shits and giggles sometimes, Paulie would find something for you to do, or Dreamer would throw somebody in a promo. Didn't matter. Nobody was getting paid millions of dollars, so it was like, hey, just go out there. So they decided to have a girl for Meanie or whatever, just to have some laughs out of it. And they threw the girl who was coming around from the New York indie scene, Miss Patricia, and threw her out with them. I think it was a rib on her because he had to kiss her and all that kind of shit or something, but I have no idea where she is or whatever happened to her. She was a nice girl, but that's where that came from.
All right, I have an actual legit question now.
Okay.
Being a longtime ECW fan and having the very last PPV on tape, what was going to be the plan for you being the new Nasty or Nova?
I was told that Dreamer told me that I was going to be, because Rhino had both belts at the end of that pay-per-view. They were going to put the TV title up, and that I was going to, he told me that I would have wound up winning the TV title and then working with CW. Me and CW would have feuded. We would have been the two mid-card guys that got bumped up towards the top, and we would have been wrestling back and forth for the TV championship in ECW, which I think would have been the absolute right direction to go in. I was definitely headed that direction 100%. I think, you know, and the fans thought so too, so. Would have been cool, but alas, it never happened, so what are you going to do?
It would have been cool.
Were you ever at the ECW arena, Jason? So I know you're at Philly.
No, I'm not in Philly. I'm like...
Oh, we're in Pennsylvania. It's all the same.
I'm more near Harrisburg, where ECW went there once, but I was too young to go, so...
Oh, okay. You should have just lied and said, yeah.
No, there you go, man. That's about as good as it gets. Yeah, that's where I was heading, and it didn't happen. So what are you going to do?
I would have liked to have seen it, but...
Yeah, it would have been cool. I never held any titles in ECW. I thought me and Chetty should have been tag champs at least once, so the TV championship would have been pretty cool. But it didn't happen. So what are you going to do? No big deal.
Thanks for calling in, Jason.
Yep, take care.
Thanks, Jay.
One more caller here. We got Jai.
Jai.
Hi, how you doing?
What's up, Jai?
My question is, when you were part of talent relations, did you have a hard time with Vince McMahon?
No. I'll tell you this point blank. People are going to think I'm crazy. I got along with Vince and would talk to him just like I'm talking to you guys right now. I never sweated Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is a billion. When his stock's over $16, he's a billionaire. Vince McMahon is $100 millionaire. I mean, the guy's got more money than God, but he earned it. He made it. He's the greatest promoter of all time. I rephrase it. He's the greatest promoter of all time. If it wasn't for Vince McMahon, and, you know, obviously a lot of workers who helped build the company, but professional wrestling would not be what it is today. I mean, no Monday Night Wars, no big thing, none of that shit. This guy did it all. When I would see him, I didn't see him every day because he was down the hallway from me on the 4th floor there. But this is a dude who was, over 50, older guy, been working out for years, a CEO of a $1 billion company, busting his ass. I used to see Vince McMahon every day. I mean, this guy would be in the gym. There was a gym there at the Titan Towers. I used to work out every morning there, and on the weekends I work out there. I heard reports of Vince sometimes being in that gym at like 10 o'clock at night, putting in a full workout after working all day, and me and my wife would go and work in the gyms on the weekend there at the office, and he would be in there with his two friends that he'd been training with for like 30 years, and with his sweatsuit on and with the music playing and just training his ass off. And he totally, I'll tell you what, every time I ever went up to him and said, hey, what about this or what about that, that dude he never turned me away. He never said, like, I don't have time for you or get out. I didn't bother him a lot. I used to see people lined up outside of Vince's door every fucking week, waiting to go in. You know what I mean? Like a TV, they'd all be lined up there, everybody waiting to go see to
Is that a bad
tonight.
thing or a good thing to us?
Well, it was the same goddamn people every week, and a lot of them never got nothing. So I remember one day after, like, I'm not going to say who it was, went in there for the umpteenth time trying to pitch another stupid idea. And then he walked out, and then I just knocked on the door, and Vince's like, come in, and I walked in, and he goes, Simon, well, what can I do for you? I looked right at him. I said, nothing, man. I said, I just figured you're tired of seeing the same people every single week come in here. I just figured I'd come in and say hi. And he just started laughing. And, he liked the character, thought it was cool. He told me one time when I was wrestling Vito and Bobby that when I was out there it was bulletproof. That when I was out there, he knew it was going to be good. He knew whoever I was wrestling was going to get over. He had no problem putting it on live TV or tape or whatever because he knew I was always going to be, it was never going to be a shitty match. And it never was. I worked really hard. I studied from a lot of people. I had help from everybody from Jim Cornette and Danny Davis to Tommy Dreamer, Shane Douglas, all the ECW crew, all the way to Arn Anderson, Ricky Steamboat, all the great agents in WWE. And I put a lot of hours in watching a lot of guys to try to get good. And I think a lot of that has been lost. I think a lot of people strut around now thinking they're good, and they ain't.
Do you think it's better to have talent relations, or do you think it's better to micromanage like you used to have? It used to be just like one person, which was Vince.
Well, you gotta understand something. This is $1 billion company that gets shown in I don't know how many countries around the world with literally 100 80 talents on the main roster, 50 friggin' people in developmental, trying to draft talent. The talent relations crew is led up by Johnny Ace, vice president. He's got some people working under him, 5 or 6 people. Then he's got the travel girls. He's got an assistant named Nicole. There's like a Howard Finkel. There's like 10 people that work in talent relations, and it's the hardest working group of people I've ever seen in my life. I mean, these are people who, on Saturday, the travel lady, Kathy, she might get called at 5 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, because so-and-so overslept and missed his flight or and she's got to fix that shit right then and there. I mean, she doesn't get to go back to sleep. I got called one Saturday. No, nobody. Oh, are you kidding me? With that many talents, that you have no idea on a global scale how big WWE really is. Until I went to that office and saw they have 400 and something employees just working in the Stanford office.
Wow.
This is $1 billion company. I mean, this is a huge place. I mean, and the only natural resource that WWE produces is talent. All the T-shirts, video games, all that stuff comes from talent. So if you don't cultivate talent and hire the right talent, then you're in trouble. And I really hope that enough has been done over the last year since I've been gone to restock the pond a little bit and get some decent talent down in Florida. I don't know. I hired the other guy, Carney, too. That new guy, Carney, Sin.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I hired him, too. He's Edge's buddy. He's been around a long time. I wish nothing but the best for him. I like him a lot. Yeah. But I was able to find a lot of diamonds in the rough and get some of these guys in here and speak for them. And I still think there's a couple guys they need to hire. Claudio Castagnoli. I absolutely think they should hire Claudio.
Hey.
I think Claudio's fantastic.
The reason
What was
I
that?
asked is because I'm going to wrestling school.
What was that?
He said he's going to wrestling school. We actually got to go here pretty quick because we're supposed to be calling Raven.
You know what? Raven was supposed to be on. No, you know what? You got to call Raven, man. He's the guy. Before we go, I will tell you point blank. You tell Raven, I said, hey, man, I got to see him soon. I owe everything to him. Raven discovered me and he'll tell you the story. He discovered me on an independent show in New Jersey, asked me for my 8x10. I gave it to him. He showed it to Taz and to Paulie and Tommy and those guys. They said, I'll have him come around. I started coming around. Scotty spoke up for me, put me in the flock, and I got my start in ECW. I wouldn't have been Nova in ECW if it wasn't for him. He found me.
Yeah.
He's the boss, man.
He's a great dude. I love Raven.
Yeah, and you even moved up a half hour later so we could have him on in the begining, and then I think.
Well, I don't care. I worked late anyway. I was working late, and I just got home, and that's fine by me. There's only a few people. I would have told you whoever it was to go fuck themselves. I don't care. This is my time.
Right.
But if it's Raven, it's Raven, dude. He's Raven. I'm not gonna, he's Scotty. You could trace a good 10 or 15 people from ECW back to him, who he got started there.
It's like 6 degrees of
It's like 6 degrees of separation, I swear to God. And it all goes back to him. And believe me, he'll tell you. I did ask him about the time I beat him in chess. He'll probably claim that he doesn't remember. I'm 1-0 for lifetime in chess, and he prides himself on his chess game, and I retired after that and never played him again. He'll say, the kid didn't beat me, So,
do you still have that picture of him from way back in the day?
The Scotty Flamingo one? Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I got some old pictures on a lot. I used to save them all the guys I met over the years and stuff, so.
Does he pay you not to put them out there?
No. He didn't know. I'm sure I wouldn't put him out there anyway. I had his yearbook photo on my wall.
Really?
His high school yearbook photo. I found it and I blew it up. I made a friggin' poster of it, and me and my brother Donnie B hung it up on our room in our old house, my mom and dad's house. We had a poster of Raven's yearbook photo on my wall. Swear to God.
That's
Ask him about it. He'll tell you.
He's got the tight, permed afro and the pink flare kind of flared shirt on and stuff like that with a bow tie. Beautiful.
Yeah. Ask him about all that shit. He'll admit it. No, he's the best, man. He started a lot of guys, and he don't get his due credit. A true genius in the business, a good mind, a good booker. People have their opinion about him. They talk shit on him all the time, but that guy's helped out a lot of people, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for coming on, man. It was a good time.
You got it, man.
Yeah. Will you keep here for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, this is Mikey Whipwreck from ECW, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. Or am I in your head? Or my head, your head? Somebody's head. Alcino wants head? Also, should get head. I don't know. Anyway, that's where you're